Welcome back to the ISL Families Fulfillment Program. We're now focusing on step 2, what is most important to you, and it's a part of the stage A, assess. Imagine constant contact with what's most important to you. What is that going to give you? What's that going to bring into your life? You can do anything as long as you have the passion, the drive, the focus, and the support. The focus and the support will be concentrating on that on the other steps of this framework. The passion and the drive are really foundational to be able to go for what you really want and to achieve your goals and to achieve fulfillment. Another important thing is that in order to focus on doing, on acting on what you want, you really need to understand what is it that you want. You really need to understand what drives you. What is it that you want to actually be doing? And finally, if you are in contact with what's most important to you, the decision-making process is quite simple. It's not to say that you will be able to decide always according to what is most important to you, but at least you'll have that as a reference, as a guidance. So even when you're not able to decide, according to what's really important to you, even in those occasions, you have the understanding and the acknowledgement of what you are doing. And you'll find out that probably if you're deciding on that direction, it's really deep inside according to your core values and the things that you deeply believe in. So, what is it that we're going to do? We're going to do 3 things. We're going to identify core values. We're going to write a purpose statement. And then we'll do some self-reflection on the core values, on the purpose, and prepare to move to the next step. Hopefully, this will bring awareness of what truly matters to you, of what is really important to you. Why is it that for most people, this connection to what's most important to them is difficult? It's not a simple and straightforward process. A number of things can be happening. One of them is the distractions. Let's call it good or bad, doesn't really matter, but all that happens in the day, all that happens in your life, the obligations, the things that you really have to do, and sometimes just running around from one to the other, it's really getting in the way of just getting in contact to your inner self, your true self, and realizing what is it that matters to you. Another thing is you might be just reacting, lacking some sense of pivoting, not really focusing on personal development, on learning, on growth. And it's quite common for most people to find themselves on somebody else's agenda, either from the and just suffer from this pressure from the environment. Either it's society, or either it's culture, either it's the media, and not really moving according to your own personal agenda. And finally, in some cases, the lack of self-worth, the feeling that you're not enough. So almost in a sense, a way of thinking that you're not enough, you don't deserve to focus on what's most important to you, at least when compared to other so-called more important things and obligations in your life. So what we're doing in this module, in this step, the goal is to move from doing something else or somebody else, almost like wearing a mask, even if it's a very beautifully designed mask, moving from that place to actually doing you. Whatever you is, like getting into contact with the real sense of what really matters to you. So let's get started on the first action. We'll be identifying core values, then writing a purpose statement, and finally doing some self-reflection. Action 1 is identifying core values. Core values are part of us, our principles. They highlight what we stand for. They influence our thoughts, our actions, our state, and they represent our unique individual essence. The main goal is to connect with that unique essence, with you, with your individual self. Before we start action number 1, put yourself in state. Avoid speculating and idealizing what you should value. It's really important to be able to lose that influence from the outside, which is quite normal, but we're really focusing on letting it go. And instead use real self-honesty. It requires patience and resilience. Really focusing on wanting to get to what's really you. So no preconceived ideas, no judgment, your own judgment, or imagining other people's judgments. And let's get it done. So take a deep breath. Empty your mind as much as you can, and we'll get started. The first thing we need to do is to choose 3 areas from the wheel of life, your wheel of life. Once you have that done, select 1. And then you're going to create your list of personal values. Some guidance for this. 1, you could consider a meaningful moment, a peak experience that stands out. And just go back there, put yourself in that situation. Imagine what was happening. What were you feeling? What values were you honoring at this time? So the goal is not to answer these questions. It's just to remember those situations, those peak experiences, and once you're there, writing down what values were in place. Another thing you can consider is on quite the opposite. So consider a time when you were angry, frustrated, upset, and what was happening. Put yourself in a situation like this. Go back and what was the environment like? Who was present? What was going on? What were you feeling? And so what values were not present? And that probably had a huge impact on the way that you were feeling. So go back there and imagine, why was I feeling like that? What was missing? What was really bothering me? Finally, just imagine or reflect a little bit on your, so beyond your basic needs, what needs to happen in that area of your life. You can do this for the different areas, but just we're doing this one area at a time. In that specific area, what must be in place beyond the standard basic needs for you to experience fulfillment? What personal values must you honor? Okay? So again, the only thing you need to write down are personal values. These are just some guiding ideas to help you to get to those values. Here you have some examples. They're just a few sets. They're just grouped because it's easier to identify them. It can help you also to create your list or to extend your list. Be thorough. It's fine. You can expect to have a few dozens of core values at this stage. It's fine. Now, the next thing you're going to do is to group related personal values just by themes. Let's say you have love and sympathy and empathy on your list. These three might go together. You might feel like these three should go together. Or you have, for instance, justice and fairness. You might want to group those two also together. Then the next thing is to highlight the central theme for each value group. So once you have those groups, just find a word. Could be one of the values in that group, could be a different word. Just find a word, a value that really describes that specific value group. And once you have that, just please prioritize and determine your top personal core values. Here are some questions that might help you to do that. What values are essential to your life? What values represent your primary way of being? And what are essential to support your inner self? These questions, they don't need to be answered, but it's just to support you to prioritize and to determine your top personal core values. Action number 2, your purpose statement. My alarm clock doesn't wake me, my purpose does. So the purpose, we understand the purpose as something that is really, really a driving force. It's what sets you in motion. It's a sentence where you summarize what you are about. I have an example from this lady called Amy Purdy, who actually says, your life is a book, and if you were the author, what would you want your story to go? The purpose is the slogan for your story, for your life. What is it that, if you were to describe what you would like your story to be, your life to be to someone in a sentence, what would that sentence be? The purpose statement defines who you are, who you want to become, what you are about, reflects your passions and values. For you, it provides clarity as you set goals. So again, really foundational to stage B, where we build and we'll be focusing on setting goals and following through to achieve goals. And it steers how you want your story to go. That's your purpose statement. Another way to really summarize the purpose statement, it's your why. Why do you wake up? Why do you get out of bed? Or why would you like to wake up and to get out of bed? Okay, some examples of purpose statements. Some of these are more focused on career or work. Some are more personal. They serve just really as an example of just a basic sentence. But as you read through them and as you please analyze them, you'll see that they are full of content and of meaning. So, reflecting and writing your purpose statement. Simplifying your direction. That's the goal. It's to decide how you want your story to go from now on. In order to do this, avoid overanalyzing and overthinking and correcting. It's important to get it as intuitive as you can. You can edit it after you write it. You can go back to it. It might change. It often does, much more than core values. Core values tend to be more unchangeable, whereas your purpose statement can change slightly or more. Just write 1 or 2 sentences. 1 ideally, 2 it's also fine, specific, clear, and so that it's obviously aligned with your core values, and they must reflect positive action, written with a positive outlook, and in the present. Certainly not in the past, but also not in the future. Even if it's not happening right now, write it as if it is. This will give you a much more sense of action and completion and willingness to go for it. It will help you to put yourself in state. All right, let's get started. First, brainstorm. So a couple of ideas to help you move forward. How do you want to make a difference in the world, in your community, in your family? Doesn't have to be too wide. It is your intention of impact. How wide the impact zone is really up to you. It's your purpose. How do you want to be remembered? How do you want people to look at you and what you do? What sort of legacy do you want to build? Just some ideas for you to reflect on and to help you move forward. Then compose your first draft. Consider, who am I? What do I do? Who do I do it for? It's for me, it's my family, it's my community, it's my city, it's the world. What do they want? What do they need? These people that I interact with, what do they want and need? How can I impact that? What do I want and need? How do I make a change? How do I improve myself and the people around me? Just be very intuitive. Just let it out. Just write it down as it comes to you. And then you can revise your statement. You can edit it. You can do it as an exercise as part of step 2 and as part of this course. But by all means, use this whenever you feel like it's important to revise it, because again, it might change. It's something that it's not always just cast in stone, and it can and it will probably evolve. Finally, action 3, self-reflection. First, have you been acting according to your values? So reflect. You can go as way back in the past as you want. Could be last week, could be last year, could be last decade, whatever you decide to do. And what's really important is to realize what happens when you don't. How does that make you feel? And on the other side, what happens when you do? How does that make you feel? And the purpose of this action is not to beat yourself down. It's just get some acknowledgement, some realization of where you're at. And then consider in what ways you can act to better align values and behaviors with your behaviors. Finally, please fill in the table below. It will give you a perspective of where you are and also some ideas of how you can improve the way you see yourself and the way you believe you are when it comes to acting according to your values. So it's really simple. In each line, just please write down one of the values of your personal core values. Please score it from 0 to 10. And then finally, just one simple action. Don't overthink this. It's just to get you more aware and potentially improving your relation with yourself. Some specific action to increase your score on that value. We've been talking about personal core values, purpose statement, and a reflection considering how you're living according to your core values. This is really important to realize what your passion comes from, what your drive comes from, what really matters to you, what speaks to your soul, to your heart, what is really most important to you. And have now a decision to make. You can do what you're doing now, or you can take action and live a life by design. A life by design is whereas you move towards more and more living according to your personal core values and moving towards your purpose statement. If you're already doing so, that's fine. Can you take it to the next level? If you feel like at this stage you're not doing that, well, it's really the time to start acting and to moving towards that. It's time to take action. Let's find out what is most important to you. You have 3 actions to complete: identify your core values, write your purpose statement, and a self-reflection.